Okay. We are now live. Morning.
Morning.
Speak
Hey,
of the
sound
devil,
better.
and it shall appear.
It does seem to work.
How you feeling?
Getting
Getting there.
Moonbeam, that was it. Moonbeam. Moonbeam.com.
I'm sure they appreciate the affiliation. Or do they? We'll have to ask them. How do you guys feel about us being associated with that? Moonbeam? Moonpig? Doing it for you at all? To everybody on Twitch, this is making no sense whatsoever, of course, but, you know. Never mind. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. Everyone did load in very, very quickly today.
I'm still saying you're offline on Twitch.
Hooray for... Well, it's behind by... I think it's set to be behind by about 2-3 minutes. We shall find out soon enough, I suppose. Nevertheless, folks who want to can hear something coming off of Sirenscape.
No,
Yar.
yes.
There is Plinky Plonk.
And everybody, well, seems to be in and doing well with it. Groovy. Alright then. If you will excuse us then for a few moments, folks, we'll just have the intro video play and we'll be right back with you.
The fact that it has my quarters has like a 62-digit combination lock to get in, and when you get in, it looks like a torpedo bank.
You see, that's why I said bunk bed, because they're just wrapped up.
No, bunk bed takes up too much room for torpedoes.
No, it is a bunk bed. You sleep on the top bunk.
No,
It's a bunk bed.
means the rest
No,
of the
it's a
ground
bunk-
bed
no.
is
The
It still takes
torpedo
up too
rack
much room.
is a bunk. No, a vertical torpedo rack is a bunk bed for torpedoes. That's what I'm saying.
There's still
That's how
too
you
much room.
justify that you
Bunk
just-
bed's too much room. Like a roll mat on the floor. In fact, there's not even any floor space. I sleep between the torpedoes.
Hello
Sharon's
everybody,
wanted torpedo.
and welcome to the continuing misadventures of the USS Navis, as we can hear. They're arguing over who gets bunk space and who doesn't. Obviously the captain wins that argument by proxy of being the most senior officer on the bridge, or indeed the ship.
No,
The weird bit, though, is we have an awful lot of space on this ship, so the captain does not have to be cramped. That's just personal
Every
preference.
square inch of free space is filled with torpedoes. That's why we're in such a bad shape.
Maybe.
We don't have warp cores. We just have torpedoes.
Well, the warp core that you made me is up and fully functioning, and we are ready for full power one way or the other. Speaking of which, we really need to get a handle on the USS Navis's current predicament, because they don't have warp power. So, as a reminder of where we are. So, The crew of the Navis have essentially woken up after a big engagement with the Dominion, left the ship in pretty bad shape, and by the looks of what they've managed to ascertain of the rest of the fleet who took part in that very same battle, they're just as bad, if not worse. So far, we've been attempting to patch up what we can in order to get repairs initiated as much as we possibly can, especially with having to go old school with a lot of things, including deck-to-deck communication. But...
Oh yes, the Edwards switchboard.
Indeed. Which for the moment Ensign Kirst is taking over. But the decision was made last time that a trip to each of the stricken Starfleet vessels to have a look if they've got any spare parts that can be used and any crew that could be potentially rescued is a mission that now needs doing. So in order to remind ourselves of what it is we're actually looking for here, excuse me, our current predicament is that you need to find replacement isolinear data stacks because most of the isolinear chips were burned out after the Dominion initiated a virus attack, essentially, on the main computer of the Navis. And that will require, essentially, the main computer will need rebooting manually once those replacement isolinear chips are found. You also need a replacement injection assembly for the warp core, now that you only have one warp core remaining on your usual twin barrel double barrel ship. You also need to repair the intermix chamber for your existing one. You are out of quantum torpedoes, and the assembly deck where photon torpedoes are made is compromised due to its structural integrity being targeted. So you need to forage for more photon torpedoes if you want to go that way for it. Comms are down on the ship, as has been noted, and has had to be resorted to by some pretty switchboard-esque means, because the transceiver array for the main comms unit is shattered and therefore needs to be replaced. And you have ongoing hull breaches on deck 5, 12, and 15. So getting to and from, as far as repair teams go, is that's slowing them down. So, as we can see, assembled here on the bridge, we have our team of 5 who were going to have a look at the closest, or maybe not the closest, ship, because I believe mention was made that perhaps the best Allied ship to target for potential replacement parts would be the Excelsior class ship, which would be the USS Thorn. So I think I've covered everything there. If I've missed something, then do feel free to pipe up.
And the reason we're looking at the Excelsior was they're refitted to hell, so something is likely to fit.
Yes. The other stricken ships were the USS Midway, which is a Miranda class, the USS Belfast, which is a California class, and the USS Cartier, which is an Intrepid class. So, Stevens, Edwards, Vibers, Nova, Bertram.
Miranda class actually got blown up. Oh dear, what a pity. Never
Technically,
mind.
they've all been.
Yeah, but it's completely destroyed. There's nothing left.
You'd better hope that's not the case, because there might be
I
parts
mean,
we
we're
need.
completely destroyed. There's nothing left. Nah, we can salvage bits out of the other ships.
Yay.
Mr. Claw, push the quantum torpedoes at him.
What quantum torpedoes, Captain?
Fire phasers.
What phases, Captain?
Claude,
I'll launch myself,
you're
sir.
Yeah. You're disappointing me, Claude.
Entering torpedo tubes now, Captain.
I say, is the crush finally fading?
No, it'll never fade.
Now we know when emergency power goes to beam Quark back on board again.
Yeah. So, just to give us an idea of what we're looking at, let's go to, excuse me, space. Out in space. So here is the Navis, of course, and we've got our shuttle. We gave the shuttle a name, didn't we?
Oh, no, you're asking me to remember it.
You're the one that named
the Masaba.
Yeah, that's the Badger.
No, Masaba. Although I can change it to the Badger if you really want.
The Mufasa.
Because the Nova would always be on board.
Masaba Badger. Masaba Badger. Badger. Yeah, I'm going to stop babbling.
Like
I'm going to just get on things.
It's like a curry, a futuristic curry where you have badger meat rather than chicken. Mm.
We could
Okay.
always switch to a curry class. It's fine.
A curry. She's got Tim at the front going, "Hello." This is your driver, Tim,
Actually,
on the USS Harry.
we have to probably have the bits to make a curry class sitting around here.
I think there's a difference between a curry class and a curry class.
I could make a really bad joke, but any and all folks of Indian persuasion would probably kill me for it. And it's not that good a joke, so. The USS Bombay.
The curry class
Exactly.
as actual curry exists.
Here we go, Discord.
It's a remix of the Excelsior with the hull turned backwards. That's supposed to be a variant used as a carrier. It's an ugly abomination.
It really is.
Abomination.
It's the Miranda class of Excelsiors.
No, there is a nice Miranda class of Excelsiors. This isn't it.
But that just proves it is a Miranda class. They've taken the saucer section, but for some reason they've decided to stick the drive section underneath it. Oof. Yes, it does look like an abomination. Any hoops. So as you can see, the USS Thorn, the Excelsior class one, is further away. But closer are the California and Intrepid class. So the Belfast and the Cartier. But if you're still intent on the Thorn, that's all well and good. That's a good point, actually. I need to find where we're going. So we are currently looking for the Thorn.
Centaur class.
Yeah, that's the Miranda of Excelsiors, the one that should have existed.
Mm-hmm.
Not the curry, which just, oh please, don't kit bash another one.
See, I've just been reading as well. I actually thought there was a Curie class, but there isn't. It's just the USS Curie.
That's probably what I remember as well, then, in that case. That explains that slight nudge of my memory cache. Alright then, so we have the away team, and we are proceeding off. So are we definitely heading for the Thorn? We're not looking for more, for closer or more up-to-date equipment? We're going to the Thorn because it's bigger and it's probably been refitted a number of times.
Yes, and if we start with the most furthest away and work our way back, then if there are survivors here, we've got them, because these ships were known as the workhorses of the fleet. If anyone's still alive on here and using this as a lifeboat, this is where I'd have gone to.
Yeah, it's a big ship. It's a big ship other than ours to actually stick people on for the initial recoveries as well. Plus, it means if we can potentially get it moving, we could just get all survivors onto it and use it as a tow it with the shuttle. Well, the
We've
Carpathia,
got
we can
enough
get that
space on board to fill the ship full of people.
Yeah, but
You-
but because the Navis can't move at the moment,
Yeah.
we could just potentially tow the Excelsior and
Well,
just pick
we
up
might
people on the way.
we might be able to kickstart the Excelsior better than the Navis and tow the Navis home.
No.
I mean, we can just salvage a warp core and then tow everything else back.
Okay. Any actually that's a good point. Did we look at No, we didn't. That's a good point. Right. I'm going to bring us back to the bridge briefly because one thing we didn't approach was equipment to take. Now, at the moment, the equipment you've got available is actually a little limited due to the fact that you have no longer got replicators operational. Therefore, the amount of stuff you can take is limited by availability, especially because the repair teams are using most of the stuff that is used for repair.
Does that mean I can't grab a anti-grav sled and just bring it with?
That's kind of what I was getting at, although at the same time you will need something to take if you're going to be transporting large pieces of equipment, so an argument could be made. But whatever you take from the ship, like that, means that our repair team somewhere cannot use it. So ooh, give me a second. So you can discuss that and what to take, while I have a brief looky-loo at what the heck is going on with Sirenscape.
Is there something wrong with it?
Well, anyone watching the stream right now is seeing me looking at a white screen.
I'm hearing it.
Yeah, I'm hearing it, I'm just not seeing anything. Here we go. It's better. Kicked it back into action now. For those interested, I am using the Brave web browser, and that's possibly what might be causing some of my Sirenscape-related issues. Anyone who knows more about it, feel free to give us a nudge. In the meantime, however, let us go on with a bit of equipment packing. So yes, as senior officer, you're able to pretty much override anybody you want to say, I would like this piece of equipment, please. Or not even say please, you know. I'm the XO here, gimme.
Grab sled.
So whoever wants to carry the grav sled, find the grav sled in the list of items and equip it to your character. Yay.
Grab the grab sled.
I mean, I'm not taking it. Someone else can. I just demand that we're taking it.
You're going down to the fucking sorry, excuse me, to the armaments.
Armory.
Thank you. No, that's in the magazine. I was trying to say the equivalent of the magazine is like, I'll have that torpedo. I'll have that torpedo. I'll have that one.
Yeah, what's that? The Navis has got no torpedoes left. Wow.
Your ships are out of action. We might be able to.
It's
Yeah,
just the fact we've got no torpedoes, I think. More the one of... Yeah, we haven't got any quantums. We lost the entire magazine, didn't we?
Once you guys have set off, then that's it. Andrews is leaving Clorton Command and sneaking off. Just flying behind and nicking
Swag bag full of torpedoes.
All
Just
the
going
ships
from
use
ship to
all
ship.
of their torpedoes.
Just attaching homing beacons to the wall, and it's like the right moment just hits the transport and just to refill our armory.
Do you want to fly in the Samson just so you can be on a ship with torpedoes?
No, it's fine.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you've got everybody's sorted what equipment they want to take.
Taking medical stuff and moss samples as normal.
Luckily
Usual
for
and-
you, in that case, Dr. Bertram hasn't got much chance of other people needing to borrow that. That's biological equipment.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. To be fair, people have started showing an interest in it.
And it would
Maybe
be useful for
NPCs,
containing things like plasma fires and and keeping back anywhere that might be leaking radiation. So yeah, I actually take that back.
Can I take an EVA suit and a plasma torch?
Sure.
I was going to say, you probably need torches at one point, yeah.
Plasma torch, they're really good call. Let's cut through stuff.
Actually, do we want to take some pattern enhancers? So literally, we can just, because I know we've got a chain of using one of the shuttles, not the California, the Carpathia, to help transport things. It'd be worth doing that, so we could literally just anything we need to just. All right, we've got this free beam straight to ship.
Probably don't have
If-
the range.
If we get the ship's main power back up, that's not a bad plan. But without main power, we've not got a powered location to receive it.
I thought we've got one of the just smaller ships. We could just use some stuff with it.
No, as in, if we try and make a relay of shuttles to get there through the interference, we don't have a shuttle in our hangar bay to be the destination.
Okay.
Sadly, you have a small craft readiness of about 2 at the moment, I think. Let me make sure I'm not making that up. It might be even 3. Let me quickly check. If I can get this thing to scroll down properly. Now, small craft readiness was a thing that was introduced in 2nd ed. But it is something I like to refer to, because it makes a bit more sense. Small craft readiness is actually 5. Okay, there we go. That's my mistake. So...
But then we haven't got any power though, so...
Yeah, so like I noted previously, getting a shuttle out of the shuttle bay involved somebody manually cranking the doors open.
And cranking it shut again before we lost the emergency power to keep the force field up.
Exactly. So I believe it was determined that was one of the main reasons to use a teeny tiny shuttlecraft, so that they were a smaller ship, could get out faster.
We managed to use one of the smaller hatches rather than the full doors, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
They deploy the big hamster wheels and deploy the engines into it to keep on generating some kinetic energy.
You're joking about that? That
And
might
yet,
be what we need to...
all of a sudden, Vibers is going, hang on a second. How many of you guys are not quite fit for duty, but are actually fit for duty?
Fitness.
We did have a dark matter flywheel. Maybe we can convert it into an actual wheel. To deck 9!
And this is when I got put on the shuttlecraft and told we're going salvage hunting instead.
Okay, so we've got some medical equipment being taken by Bertram along with his usual supply of plant-based whatevers. Nova's taking an EVA suit and a plasma cutter. Plasma torch type of jobby. There was an anti-grav sled reserved by Vibels. Pattern enhancer being taken by Edwards as a just in case, because you never know. Stevens taking anything in particular?
No, I think like Nova, EVA suit, plasma torch.
Okay, feel free to grab those out of the items then. So if any external work needs doing, or folks need creating atmosphere in a room before the others follow, then Nova and Stevens will be the gals for the job. Okay. Quick look at that. You know where to go, I take it, Webby?
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Alright then. Spooply dooply doop. Whilst you're doing that, I will nab us. I've just realised there's something we can do with. Let's have a look at. Where did we leave the shuttle? There it is. Doodly 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 doo. So, Andrews isn't going on this excursion, but Stevens is. Spoop-de-doop, spoop-de-doop.
I've also just realised if we're changing scenes, that means the jury rig runs out.
Well, technically, that's Kirst's problem, not yours. But by now, one would at least hope that some progress has been made in regards to that kind of thing. Let me just find shuttlecraft token so that we know. Ooh, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Hello? Oh no, there it is. Just can't see it. I'll slap that right there. Okay, so off we go. So the shuttle flies out, and so we are looking to navigate the debris field, which is rather extensive. The first debris field we're going to have to navigate out of is the one that the Navis has itself left, along with the strewn debris of the Jem'Hadar craft that rammed into the Navis in quick succession. So we are going to start things off by, well, first nominating who's flying the shuttle. Which means that we're looking for those of the away team who have probably the best con ratings.
I think it might be Edwards.
There's a reason why I took an ensign with me to go flying.
Nova's con is all of the 1. Viber's is actually 2, so Viber's has got better
yeah, it's me.
pilot.
I've got 4.
Nova's flying.
Nova was making vroom noises earlier when she did take the helm briefly. So why not? Plus having
Was
an
that
operations
before or
officer.
after we crashed?
Plus having the operations officer up in the essentially the flight cabin is not a bad call. Folks have yet to have the chance to rest for long enough to recuperate any lost stress. So that is something worth noting. So the first check I'm going to ask is for the con. I was about to say con artists, but I didn't think that would fly as a joke. He waits for applause. Nope. Alright then.
You just can't hear us.
And so whether or not Nova wants to actually assist with any kind of con-related check, but the shuttlecraft also gets to aid in this, so we can have Gareth, since you're feeling poorly at the moment.
Yep.
You can give us an assist with engines and con from the shuttlecraft.
Okay. So,
That's a good point.
I'm being very poorly, apparently. Okay, that second one's not my fault.
so am I jumping in to take control? Or are we just self-destructing?
Wow,
So far,
okay
we've
then.
got 2 complications. Edward rolls a bunch of complications. We just all crash into a meteorite and explode.
We technically haven't left the hangar bay yet.
You
Just
have left
smash
the
into
hangar
the
bay.
doors.
This is navigating the debris fields. So
Oh dear.
yes, oh dear.
Wait, why did you only roll one? No, I thought you were leading.
Nope, you've got the superior con.
Oh, I thought because you said she does it. Sean said something, so I thought he was taking control.
No,
So was it control?
co-pilot.
Is it daring and con? Sorry. Is it daring and con or control and con?
Control and con. Usually, unless you want to do flying by the seat of your pants,
I'm
as the
good.
saying goes.
Now watch me get 220s.
Not so much. 2 successes, okay. But 2 complications, which means... One, two. There is no small amount of bump as you make contact with the debris field, which is proving difficult to navigate through without smashing into something. There are so many floating rapid bits that some part of a Jem'Hadar craft actually sneaks up on you before you have the time to get out of the way, since you were just maneuvering around another one. So your shields take a impact. And everybody can give me the Star Trek shake.
Oh, shake it.
Which means that everybody in the in the crew compartment has to hold on as you get shaken around a good bit. So the good news is there was no actual breach, but the shields have been knocked down as they were overloaded, taking the brunt of the damage, which means that you were knocked off course slightly. Which means you have to take a not exactly a detour, but the shuttle nonetheless. Might take us back to the map. Takes a bit more time to navigate out of the debris field. But eventually you do, and you have a lot more clear a path to proceed to the USS Thorn. But as you get closer, you will be able to actually conduct a scan if you wish. In fact, that's probably a good idea, considering that you don't know how intact or how damaged this thing is. So anybody who wants to try and give me a control in science or a control in engineering, assisted by Webby being the shuttle, who will you give me sensors and science? Sensors and engineering? Doesn't really matter.
Where do I find my
And
character?
have a good old look on the sensors to see what state the Thorn is in.
Cool. Have we got characters on the
Oh, I do
board
beg
at
your
the
pardon.
moment?
Let me shift you over to where you can actually get at characters to do something with. My pardon.
Okay. Alright,
I was
because
gonna
if
say, I
you're
was
after an
comparing-
engineering,
Mhm.
do you want to do an assist and I'll do the main? Or do you want me to do the assist and you do the main?
I'm happy to assist.
Alright, go on then, you do your assist and I'll give you a main on this one. This is...
Well, control
Ooh.
in engineering or control in science, using sensors
I'm just
to
wondering
examine
about-
damage.
Yeah, for once, I'm not on... I haven't got a focus. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
Would metallurgy help? Because we're trying to identify bits and pieces.
Okay. Sure. So there's 1 success for an assist. 2 successes further. That's good. Alright. So, the Thorn is in actually a pretty bad way. It looks like it was one of the first ones to receive the majority of the brute force attack. And so it is the one that is most... It's got a pretty large amount of itself smashed to pieces. Its engines are in no condition to give you any kind of replacement parts whatsoever. In fact, the vast majority of this ship is crumpled into bits. There are, however, a number of pods scattered about the debris field. But the main thing of which you are concerned, according to your scans, the Thorn is in a bad enough way that you don't think it would be in any shape or that you could bring it back online. But the one thing of it that could be very useful is its main computer seems to be more intact.
That. If its main computer's intact, we can. Its core could just be transposed over and should be able to get everything to work with it, maybe?
Possible.
Any life signs?
Undetermined. There's a lot of interference not only from the debris but also from the fact that their core suffered a minor leak and therefore there's some radiation that's confusing life signs with intermittent power signals probably from emergency power on various decks. So it's not easy to tell. So, what would you like to do?
I think it could be put out a beacon to the the escape pods to see if there's any response from that. Because the escape pods should have at least a couple of hours of life support anyway. And we'll have minimal thrusters, I believe, the life pods do.
Yes. Okay. So, even though a number of escape pods have been apparently jettisoned, you only get response back from 3. There are 3 functioning escape pods with crew from the Thorn in the active area, and to say that they're very pleased to hear your voice is an understatement. Asking the question of how many of you there are, all 3 are packed to the gills, therefore there's about 20 people to each pod. Some injured, some seriously. But anybody who did suffer serious injury to the point of needing medical assistance have at least been stabilized enough that they're not dying. But there are plenty of people who need medical attention, but you're only a small single shuttlecraft.
Well, yeah, start pointing them in the right direction so they know where the Navis is then.
Sure. You can. It'll take them a while to get there, and of course there's debris fields to navigate. They're the Thorn Zone included.
But we do have a course that we took that was achievable.
Very safe.
Joy.
Which is a good point. Maybe Nova could try and regain the shuttle's shields, because, you know... Assuming, of course, you think that's a priority thing at this point.
Preservation of life is due to make sure they get to safety, I would have thought.
Our shields aren't important.
At least for the moment, if you're thinking of transporting off the shuttle, then yeah, shields really aren't all that important at the moment.
Yeah, as long as we can get the people to safety.
Well,
No, but I've
really, isn't it?
got a challenge for you.
Ooh.
You got any ideas about how we could make a? What's the term for them? When you tie all the boats together behind one net, so you could. Convoy's the wrong term.
I get what you're driving at, though.
Bowline. I'd like to.
Okay.
I wonder, can you string together the escape pods behind the shuttle? Using the escape pods have got for safe landing and docking to hold them together.
I mean, the only way I'd be able to do that is if we had tractor beam capabilities, but I don't think we do on this.
Cable.
We could just cable them to the outside, but they'd be better off making one big ship rather than a long train.
Maybe.
Someone would have to go out and physically attach them because I dare say they're not going to be made for that kind of thing.
But they're made to be able to do a safe landing. They'll have some sort of minimal deflector / tractor thing to try and dock them to something safely.
That's why you'd be better strapping them together as one big ship, because the deflectors and stuff would just go haywire with the rope and plus then you could use all of the thrusters and things from the escape pods for more speed and maneuverability.
Do we actually have something outside that would actually allow a cable to be attached, or does it have some way of basically
raft.
I was going to say, like, we wouldn't really have any like grappling hooks on the shuttle, would they, or anything like that? That kind of thing is what I'm trying to get at. Is in this day and age, in my head, it doesn't make sense. We'd have something already attached.
There's a wrecked ship nearby. I'm pretty sure that there's cabling or something.
Oh yeah. I think more the point is someone has to go out, grab it, attach it to the shuttle, and then when we dock with each individual thing,
we don't
reasonable EVAs.
Yeah. Maglock them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find a big magnet, stick it on the side of the each of the escape pods.
Okay. Looks like we're looking at a plan here. So the first thing we want to do then is to do some quick modifications to the shuttle and get it ready to attach those different escape pods, and yeah, maybe we can use the additional thrust if you can. It's gonna be another bodge job. It's essentially strapping three booster rockets to a shuttle. But booster rockets that can put people in them, so maybe that was a bad analogy. Nevertheless, something not tried before, which with this crew is, Tuesday. Alright then, so first thing we're going to want is probably a control and con check from somebody, because a certain amount of pilot maneuvering is going to be required to put you in range of each of these escape pods in order to attach them to the shuttle. So, Navis, if you could now be the shuttlecraft's engines and con check for me, please. Oh, look at that. Make calls. Oh, I saw the roll of a 2, but I didn't see the resulting. That's because it just signed you out and signed you back in again. Nevertheless, a 2 was a success, so that means it wasn't 2 successes, it was 1, so that's 3 in total. Nice, very good. So, Edward's showing that he's got potential for the helm officer spot, actually. If I seem to recall, though, originally Geordie LaForge was a shuttle pilot. And was actually helm officer of the Enterprise D initially, so... It's not unusual. for the two departments to mix. Cool. So some expert maneuvering from the shuttle and its pilot enable you to safely dock with or safely attach with all three. So what I'm going to want from Stevens and Nova, who are the two who brought along EVA suits, is your ability to do a bit of daring and engineering to lash, if not magnetize, these escape pods to the shuttle. So whichever one of you wants to lead, although I can guess.
Yeah, they really do.
Because this kind of crazy engineering stuff is right up Nova's alley. And Webby, if you want to take Stevens. Oi, hoi, me hoi. Oh, it was almost a 1. But it was still a success, so 4 successes. So once again, maybe even defying logic, you managed to utilize the mag clamps of the escape pods and use them to clamp onto the shuttle. The shuttle's warp engines, such as they are going to need a bit of TLC, because they're going to need to now compensate for the fact that the shuttle has now gained that much extra mass. But you also are tying in their propulsion to the shuttle's own, so this is going to make future piloting efforts rather fun. For me, at least.
It's a choice of emergency ops.
Yes, and this is going to make power draw on the shuttle's teeny tiny warp core that much more demanding.
Yeah, because we're not running it at speed though. We're not too bad, but oh god, the deflector's not gonna like it.
Yeah.
All we need to do is just get it moving, against them providing nothing to us, because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We can just carry on.
Yep.
So yes, there's that, but of course, fine maneuvering is going to...
fine maneuvering ain't happening.
Which brings us back to the notion of shields. But before we go there, I am going to address what you want to do in regards to the USS Thorn and its computer core that you might want to use for parts.
Yeah. Why don't you guys go and do a run to drop off all the survivors? Who wants to help me disassemble a computer core so we can reuse it?
I'll go help them December, I guess.
Alright, so those who want to go onto the Thorn, assemble yourselves, I don't know, in the bog or something, just because that's apparently where the transporter is.
Take Dr. B with you as well, because otherwise it means that Gareth's not going to do a lot.
Plus, there might be life signs people on the Thorn itself who didn't manage to get out.
Yep.
So, Stevens and Edwards are going to chug along in the shuttle at a very languid speed, I imagine?
Yep.
Or are you gunning it?
God, no, we've got to be taking what caution and care we need to make sure we get these people back alive.
Okay.
Wait a minute, that means... Oh, God. What's her rank? No, she's actually above me. Okay, fair enough.
Well, you're both lieutenant.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, it was like hat of blame. Was like, oh, never mind.
No,
Can't blame, you're the engineering first. Second. Blame's on you. Responsibility.
Yes, indeed you do. Right then. And so... Set thrusters to ramming speed as you get beamed away. Moving very slowly. Okay. You are now just outside the Thorn's primary computer core, and the power is down to minimal. You're only able to see a short distance, mostly thanks to Nova's EVA suit lights.
I can break out a sample
Go on.
of glow-mero mycota, so we can have a non-technological light source. Glowing moss, essentially. Or glowing fungus, actually.
Beans. So I'm just going to give that a weird and wonky...
Does that mean it's snack time?
Sorry?
Does that mean it's snack time?
No, at the moment it's light time, but we can snack on it later when we don't need the light anymore.
It'll be a light snack.
Oh dear.
So good job we can't hear Edwards at the moment.
I've got this weird odd sound that if the comms were working, we'd hear this weird sigh.
Probably.
Unfortunately, Edwards' comm badge is currently sat on the bridge, acting as the main.
Yes, that's a good point. Edwards is Sans comm badge.
Yeah. Or imagine on the shuttlecraft, Edwards just said that randomly, and Stevens just looks at them and goes, "What?"
All right.
So, are there any lights on?
Well, no, not many lights, but as soon as you land, Nova picks up emotions, and you immediately hear the rattle of equipment being moved out of the way. And somebody appears from around a corner. Hello? Who's there? Identify yourselves.
Commander Vipers of the Navis. We're, I'd say, a rescue party, but we're also here to try and get us a lifeboat out of this system, so... Rescue and salvage? How many have we got still alive, do you know?
Lieutenant Commander Waltker, sir. I'm the only one that I know is left. But we did launch escape pods.
Yes, our shuttle's trying to arrange a way to get them back to our ship. We've at least got full life support over there, so...
Oh, thank God.
We'll see what we can do with that.
Wait, what about the other ships?
You're the first ship we've come to. We thought we'd go for the furthest one that looked like it might survive a hit, because these ships have got a reputation, and then work our way back towards ours. So
okay.
You're the first ship we've hit.
Okay.
I've got a ship the size of a Phalanx, and I've got one working shuttle, so yeah, tells you how our resources are going.
Does Wonky look injured?
His uniform is torn and damp, and it is damp with a slash to his arm, but it looks superficial.
Yeah. Bertram will want to check him out as a Commander. I'm Dr. Bertram. I'd like to take this moment to quickly make sure there are no hidden injuries.
I'm fine, Doctor. But thanks for checking.
Yeah. I'll give it a quick check.
I thought for a moment you were Jem'Hadar. Needless to say, I'm glad to see that you weren't.
Just checking. Does it look like anything other than superficial?
Thankfully, no. Only superficial injuries. Okay. Cuts, scrapes, bruises. Nothing major.
Okay. Let's see. All looks superficial, fortunately.
I made sure that I threw the last remaining survivors I could find into an escape pod before I started looking over the rest of the wreckage of the Thorn. Sad to say I haven't found anybody else, but then I haven't been able to access most of the ship thanks to the damage. I came back here because this is one of the few undamaged sections remaining where there was still life support. If you want to take our main computer in order to try and get the Navis up and running, then I'm all for helping you.
If we can, that's what we'd prefer to do.
Okay, so the manual release is used to open the door.
Do you know right? Okay. Nova, could you have a look at that core while I check a couple of things with the commander?
Alrighty.
I'm just gonna bring up my tricorder and just mark out the decks they've checked and where they haven't, so we can at least do a run through. We can do an orbit of the ship on the way back when they come back for us. Hopefully, they come back for us.
Yeah, they just leave you there.
When they come back, we can at least do an orbit through and check the remaining sections.
Yeah, okay. Initial tricorder scan is having trouble penetrating too far, but it does corroborate much.
I'm not getting a scan. I'm just marking out where he said he's checked or not. So I'm using it as a tablet just to record all the places he has looked, so I know from what an Excelsior looks like, these are the bits that he's checked, these are the bits that would have had people and we haven't been able to check.
Yep, so most of the lower decks where engineering was kept is not being able to check because it's pretty much impassable past deck 11. As far as Nova's concerned, the dependable nature of anything Starfleet made is as if you've seen one computer core, you've pretty much seen them all. So you know exactly where you're going. And as
but it had been refit.
Yeah, so as Viber's noted, if it's been refit, which is very, very likely considering an Excelsior class still in service, means that it's been more than likely brought up to date with all the latest stuff that it could get crammed into it. So all very recognizable. Nova knows exactly where to go to find the intact isolinear chips that you're going to need to take over function of the Navis. So it'll take you a bit of time to sort through which ones are good, which ones are bad, or which ones are at least transferable and usable. But you did see fit to bring an anti-grav sled, so you've got a means of transporting a lot of physical material. And yeah, the rest of it plays out pretty much as you would expect. There's nobody else in the near vicinity that Dr. Bertram can really help, sadly. And accessing further decks is troublesome. However, Nova, if the rest of you guys pitch in to help, you can all strip essentially the main computer of its usable isolinear chips and take the majority of its primary server rack back onto, ready to be transported onto your shuttle as soon as it returns. Speaking of the shuttle crew themselves, proceeding at a very, very leisurely, safe pace, Edwards and Stevens are navigating through debris fields and, of course, having to compensate for the extra mass. Mean that you go rather slowly. I am going to want one or both of Nova and or Edwards complete with a
Nova.
Backup. No, not Nova, pardon me. Stevens and Edwards. Thank you. As well as the shuttle. So, Alex, Webby, and... who hasn't rolled much? Gareth.
Yep.
If you could be the shuttlecraft for me once again, giving us sensors and science, please. And whoever of Stevens and or Edwards wants to do a sensors check using control and science. No luck with
Happy
the shuttle.
for it to be Stevens, so I imagine Edwards would probably be focusing more on getting
Steering?
them out.
Yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
So, Webby, if you would like to take command of Stevens for us, please.
Yeah, sorry, what was it you wanted?
Control and science for use of sensors.
No foci on that then? No, the place will be electropulses.
I will say yes, you do have a focus, but for now I'm keeping it to myself which one. Okay. Sensors are having trouble... What was that, sorry?
Not today.
Not today. Sensors are having enormous trouble trying to compensate for the interference from the debris and all the energized particles that are floating around. So, thankfully though, you do, as has been noted, have a route that you've already taken. So you know roughly what to avoid. But this is taking time. So you do gradually get back to the Navis, deposit your guests. Do you retain the escape pods on the shuttle, or are you going to disengage them now that the escape pod passengers have been offloaded?
Would it be worth getting the pods to dock with the ships? They might be able to be salvaged themselves.
What the rest of you think?
Yeah, I'd be in the family.
So you sound a bit muffled there. What was that?
I'd be in agreement with that. Of leave them here, salvage them.
Okay.
It does mean you can just tie them back on again and take them on a run to one of the other ships when we do that.
Okay.
If you need to.
So that means that the shuttle is that much lighter going back in order to rendezvous with your guys who are on the Thorn. So I'm just giving us another little sojourn over to the USS Thorn as you are done stripping the primary computer of its useful bits and pieces. Lieutenant Commander Waltker insists on coming with you. He wants to help look for more survivors.
Okay. Lieutenant, is there a external access near here, or a airlock, or a auxiliary shuttle bay that's near this location?
Why'd you ask, sir? You beamed in.
I know, but if we can be at a... If you've got any... your shuttles would have been used, wouldn't it? Yeah, we'll be fine getting beamed out from here, won't we?
Last time I checked the shuttle bay, Commander, was... I found it a smoking wreck. We were hit so hard by those multiple impacts of those suicide runs from the Jem'Hadar that a lot of the shuttles got unhitched from their cradles and were just bouncing around inside. I don't know how many people were killed in there on the initial one, but it was one of our worst pieces of damage.
Anywhere you wanted to check on the ship before we head out, since you've got a few more people?
I don't think so, sir.
Right. In which case, I think once our shuttle arrives, we'll do a cycle through the locations you've not been able to check, and then head back to our ship.
Alrighty. It takes a bit of time for Edwards and Stevens to arrive back, but when they do, you are able to finally beam off. So let's bring...
was there anything Nova wanted to raid off the ship before we go? That might be handy.
I suppose fabricators, maybe? Raid any additional material and stuff out of those that we can. Because we're probably going to have to use a lot.
Good point. Good point. At most, the only fabrication plant that could be active that Lieutenant Commander Waltken knows of is potentially the photon torpedo assembly plant, which could conceivably be used to start manufacturing more photon torpedoes.
Andrew starts twitching.
I thought it
Yeah, I
was
don't
bits
think
of
we
the
need that.
Force.
Doesn't sound very important.
Mr. Claw, launch the Samson.
Where to, sir?
You know,
There's a
Claude.
disturbance in the horse.
You can sense the disturbance in the Force as well as I can, Claude. Do it. Do it!
Goes full Palpatine.
It's those bionic implants, they make you less human.
Well, is this the one about, is the Samson even usable at the moment?
I believe that
'Cause
was part of
we
the original
didn't-
debate, yes.
We didn't fly with it.
Or
Well, it's also only got 2 seats, so
Yeah, exactly.
it's the most impractical thing to do a rescue mission, isn't it?
Well, I went out beforehand in the only shuttle that we could get out of the doors, and there was a reason for that. Saying half the work bees were upside down, and they're supposed to be maglocked to the deck. That was interesting.
So nevertheless, this team, unless you do want to try and take parts from the fabrication plant of the photon torpedo fabrication plant. So,
yeah, I think so.
anything. Okay, so some last minute... Yeah, okay, so some last minute extra bits and pieces from there. Gotcha. Okay.
I think if there's any med packs or anything on board that haven't been used. Because normally each deck has its own specific deck, like medical equipment.
Yeah, so there'll
Basically
be
just
emergency
and-
medical packs scattered around.
Yeah,
the place.
and any phasers that are around, because we can potentially take the batteries out for additional power sources.
Duplicates! Transporter duplicates! There we go. So Lieutenant Commander Waltker comes along as well. So, yeah, extra stuff. Like a security pack and some emergency medical supplies. Okay, gotcha. You can find at least one of each. Which means that those of you who are armed with only a Type 1 phaser can now be armed with a Type 2. If you would like me to do that for you, or if you are okay to grab that yourselves. You've already got one, yes. I told them we already got one. But likewise, Stevens does have a Type 2 already. Looks like she did already raid the armory. So, that is your job on the Thorn. Done. Let me just wait for
Right.
something to be done.
Once we're back in range, and once we're back on the Navis, I think I need to ask Bravo what's number 2 on the salvage list.
Alright, so we are going back to the Navis. Gotcha. So,
Well, we need to do a loop round the Fawn on the way out and just
okay, fine.
check one last check for survivors on the bits we think we can see.
We might as well go back via one of the other ships, though, surely.
Yeah. Probably worth best use of time, so...
Okay,
Yeah,
you
it'd be
should
better.
now have the display showing you where you've got available left to go.
I'd say although it's the furthest one away from where we are, the Belfast is probably actually the next one to check, because then we can do a loop between. We can just go to the Cartier.
So the Belfast being the Cali class over there. Thoughts from those who have yet to speak? Go straight back to the Navis or go to the Belfast in order to see what you can salvage there?
I'd be willing. I'm thinking Belfast because we don't know the states of any of these ships, so presume everything's time critical, and the next few minutes it could go up unless we know otherwise. So it's get people out, get things we need out as quick as we can.
But if we go via the Midway, we can pass via 2 ships on the way home and at least check for emergency beacons.
Correct.
Midway, and then we just drive by the Carlier.
You see, I'm only seeing the Cartier. There's nothing over in this direction. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing there. Just debris.
It's right. We go find 2 workhorses horses of the fleet, and then we can go via the Modiphius.
We just tell Andrews that we've detected some phantom torpedoes in that direction. And...
Yeah, we think they might have had quantums on board for transport purposes.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it does make sense to do like the big loop. But there's only 3 ships out there. You know, like if you were stupid enough to get yourself stationed onto a Miranda in the middle of a war, then you deserve it.
It's not stupid to be stationed on the Miranda. You don't get a choice what ship you're stationed on.
You can resign your commission.
Storyteller Steve has just popped up on Moonbeam to say greetings Starfleet. Greetings Storyteller Steve. Starfleet boys are trying to decide which of the stricken Starfleet ships to go on next to salvage stuff for their own ship. So what's the consensus then, folks?
Or in this case, trying to convince the captain that Miranda classes do exist.
I think we're gonna go Midway and then the other one because the captain's not on board.
Final decision then, guys. You are going for the Midway.
Midway.
Okay.
Alrighty.
You're welcome, Lieutenant.
We won't get into that little nugget of current politics. Thank you, Alex. But yes, okay. So, as before, the debris field around the Midway will need to be navigated for you to safely do a loop to see what it is that you can salvage potentially of the Midway. And so, let me see. So for your con officer, let's actually zip you to the shuttlecraft. Interior, rather, I should say. The shuttlecraft interior. Taking a little bit of time to load here. Pop. Thankfully, we don't have a battle canoe. Worse things than a Miranda? Well, yeah. But, nonetheless, I'm going to need a con check from whoever's doing the piloting and co-piloting. And then we're going to need a sensors check.
Like it's changed.
Well, it's a case of who wants to be on the sensors and who wants to be on the piloting. Interesting. Gareth, can I get you to be the shuttle once again, doing engines and con, please, to see how well it navigates around?
Not very well.
So, ooh, that was close.
Not quite a complication,
Ooh.
fortunately.
Not quite a complication. So once again, to remind our friends in the Tabletop Guild who aren't familiar with Star Trek Adventures, big rolls are bad, small rolls are good. And that was a very near miss there for the shuttlecraft itself. But nevertheless, Edwards does manage to pilot past the majority of the bad bits of perilous debris that are in your way to allow you to do a quick reconnoiter of the Midway itself. So, whoever wants to be on sensors to give it a quick scan, nominate yourselves. But Commander Waltker does jump up and say, we need to scan for survivors and escape pods. Right now. That needs to be our focus. So Edwards has already done the job with navigating, so is it going to be Stevens? Is it going to be Nova? Is it going to be Vibers having a quick old scan?
We've got a nice crew in the cockpit.
That is Vibers absolving himself of all blame. Okay, so it sounds like Stevens. And Sean, could I get you to be the shuttlecraft then, to give me sensors and science?
Alrighty.
And remember that the shuttle counts as having focus.
Well, with focus or not focus for Stevens again?
Stevens, what is it with the Midway? No focus for Stevens this time. Well done, Shutty the Shuttle. Not Shutty the Shuttle, Mesaba. Mesaba. Ooh, there we go. Nice, very good. So you get some very clear images of the state of the Midway, and like the other ships, it's in a pretty bad way, but their communications array is mostly intact. So you could take their transceiver array in order to replace your own smashed comm array. And as far as survivors go, Midway. There are a lot more.
God damn it!
A lot more escape pods. They managed to get the majority of their escape pods away, and they haven't been damaged, so...
Activate Andrew's Protocol 1.
9
Destroy all escape pods.
Okay, so I get extra threat for escalation.
It's not escalation. What are they going to do? They can't resist.
It's a shame you've got no working weaponry.
So there's extra
The shuttle
threat
has.
for me.
Commando
Carry on.
override. Oh.
Ah yes, the Vibers override in case of crazy captain protocol.
Yeah, let you put it in.
Funnily enough, that's also
Yeah, but
what Commander Bertram has as well.
the main computer's down though, so you can't put the virus protocol into action because the computer's dead.
That's a good point.
Right. So
You're gonna have to lean on Nurse Nuteeth, it seems, to do the captain. Oh dear,
Okay,
you appear to
we
be
know what
acting
we're
illogical,
doing.
Captain.
Nah, Natif would be all for it.
Wow.
We know what she's like. She's more of a psycho than the captain.
Nevertheless, you have got 9 escape pods from Midway and a communications array that you could probably do with taking apart to replace your own.
Okay, we know how this plan goes. Leather, do you want to help take apart a comms array and see what else you want to nick from a Miranda?
Is reasonable.
Okay. Stevens, Edwards, rustle some escape pods. We'll catch you on your return trip.
Off you go. So.
Are we taking the computer stuff with us on the shuttle back, I assume?
Yeah, might as well get it being fixed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no point taking spare parts from one ship onto another ship to take them off again.
Good
Let's
point,
go
well
and fix
made.
this computer and we'll have a Miranda instead.
All right then, new ship, the Navis, the Navis B.
It's alright. What we've done is we took bits of the Miranda, bits of the other ships, and we put together an O-berth for you, sir.
Well, this just keeps getting better. You're gonna have a whole fleet. The Navis fleet is just made up of the one really big ship and then the other ships that nobody else wants. Because Vipers and Nova knew that it would piss off the captain. Should we send in the Navis C, sir?
Yeah, we'll get a couple of Daedalus classes as well. You know, just to really add spice to the variety.
They are easily modifiable.
That's because they're nav.
Alright, so, once again, we're assuming that Edwards and Stevens are just nabbing as many escape pods as they can and towing them back, whilst the rest, which means Lieutenant Commander Waltker will be staying on the shuttle whilst the rescue mission is going on, whereas Bertram, Vipers, and Nova are going to the Midway to essentially strip their communication system.
I just realised something. It might be a little bit paranoid, but would this have been a good opportunity to sneak infiltrators onto a ship?
What, your own infiltrators, or are you doing this as a
No,
would
as in,
the enemy be doing this kind of thing?
Yeah. It just struck me as like, have we been doing actually like testing as people can come in, or have we been just so focusing on getting people back on alive?
Isn't
It just
that an
struck me
interesting
as
observation?
it just struck me as like that these guys
Bertram
had definitely had a plan.
Bertram did check
Waltker, did scan him for injuries.
Yes, but I'm not talking about the people we already taken back in the life pods.
Well, since the ship ain't moving very much, it's not going to do them much good. But we can check
There's
everybody.
something to keep in our back pocket for later then, if anything. It's just...
when we get back, you can just suggest it to the medical team that they undertake blood screening for everyone that's come aboard.
Because, as I said, the Dominion came into this fight with a very good idea to take us down. I wouldn't be surprised if they would have had some sort of contingency of just in case some of the ships survived, or at least weren't totally destroyed. So they easily scoped out our security system to be able to get that virus on. So it just hit me with, wait a minute, are we being a little bit presumptuous?
Well, nevertheless, that's something I take it then you're going to mention when you get back from the first run of escape pods before you come back and do another one and come back and go back and forth shipping these people. You might just
I'm happy with sitting with the idea of wait a minute on the second run that we're doing now.
Yeah,
just going I'll just pass it on then rather than retroactively doing it.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Meanwhile, let's have these guys reappear. Okay, so once again we have a ship darkened mostly through loss of power, but you're in the communications area. So these are obviously the turbo lifts that would bring you to the area, the deck, with the communications array, and therefore the communication array controls are here and here.
Breakout another Glymer Mycota.
Yep. So we'll assume for the moment that you have got lights. I'm surprised that didn't pull over, actually, but there we go. Lights! Nice blue one.
Thank you. I'll start scanning for life forms.
Okay. Can I get you to give me a control and medicine check then, please?
Yep.
Meanwhile, Nova, as usual, you've seen one Starfleet communications array. You've seen them all?
Before
Oh, go on, Sean.
Like I say, before it gets dismantled, because it's working and working better, can we check for any sort of distress signals or incoming signals from other places first?
Sure. Yeah, okay. You're going to need a bit of techno-wizardry to get enough power to the thing initially, because you're going to be pulling on the reserve power battery for this area.
Before we pull on the battery, can we check if it's received past tense any signals?
Well, you would need to pull power in order to activate the darn thing to do that.
Yes, but I'm saying activating its memory is probably a bit less power than pulling the whole thing online and making sure it's a working comm array.
Fine, fair and good. Does Vipers want to do the former and Nova want to do the latter? Sorry, the other way around.
Yeah.
So one of you checks the memory while the other one shunts power into it to give a good old listen to what's going on right now.
Control and engineering for the memory?
Sure, absolutely.
Did that roll or did it?
It did roll a 17 and a 13, so the 13 would have netted you nothing, but the 13 would have, most definitely. So you got one success there. So, distress in the memory, at the very least, you've got evidence of distress signals from the other ships. Certainly, sparking that they were, we're going down. As far as Nova's concerned, routing emergency power from, the battery system that's currently keeping the environmental systems on this specific area active, nets mostly a lot of static. But you do catch a weak comm signal, and yes, Gareth, I haven't forgotten about you. I will get to your result in just a second.
Okay.
But so essentially this is Vipers and Nova working at the same terminal here, and focusing down on that on that signal that's a little rough at the moment. Nova manages to get through where it seems to be a text-only broadcast message from, if I can just remember the placement of all of the ships. The Cartier's there. This is a text-only alert from the USS Belfast, citing Dominion shuttles spotted moving amongst the debris, and that coincides nicely with Dr. Bertram, who all of a sudden gets 3 life sign signals as fading out of, well, almost the very air itself appear trio of Jem'Hadar warriors. Oh, bother. Nuts.
Well, ain't that a stinker?
Throw some moss in their eyes. You got this.
So, Nova, using her empathic senses, does pick up an unusual note of urgency in the Jem'Hadar warriors' emotional state. But nevertheless, because Bertram managed to very successfully pick up their life signs even when they were momentarily cloaked with their ability known as the Shroud, that does mean that one of you can start things off first, and then one of you, one of them, as per usual. So whom of you, Nova, Bertram, Vibers, would like to go first? It would make a certain amount of sense for Bertram, because he detected them in a way, but at the same time... Excuse me. Who thinks they would fare better?
Yeah, Bertram probably doesn't have the right skill set to deal with these.
Bearing in mind you are closest to cover.
Yeah. Also, I think it's more likely that Nova would act first, because Nova tends to be the one who acts first and Come later. No offense.
It's fine. I'm happy for Nova to dive on in.
Okay, Nova is activated, so you have the usual minor action and major action. Minor action can be used to draw a weapon, if you want to draw one.
I am the
Or to
weapon.
move.
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
You're the walrus?
So, seeing as this Jem'Hadar warrior is totally aware of you and is not behind cover in any way, the Jem'Hadar warrior will resist your attempt at striking him with his own roll. So that's what you're looking to get over is 2 successes. Honor over, I should say.
Yep. I'm going to spend a momentum light and take an extra dice.
Yep, you've got a lot of momentum in the pool currently, so yes, absolutely, spending it's a good idea. Two successes, so exactly on what you needed. So feel free to roll me that unarmed combat damage. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3 specials. Nice. Okay, so let's see. Sadly, only takes 1, but does get either knocked down or hurled backwards, whichever one you think you want to happen.
I think they'd be more shocked at a knockdown.
Knockdown. Okay, flatten his back.
No. Taunt him with what's the rush? Just so he knows that I want to.
Okay. What's the rush? Okay, one of them goes next. I'm gonna have this guy in the middle who looks around furiously. What to do? Well, Nova's closest, so... Nova can obviously resist with her own daring and security. So let's see how else Nova does. Ooh, look at that. Blimey, 3 successes. I think he's going to have a bit of trouble. Yep. No joy there. Nova is far too slippery and far too practiced to allow the Jem'Hadar warrior to actually get a successful jab with the butt of his rifle. So, next up can either be Vibers or Bertram.
Can't Nova counter. In hand to hand.
That is a good point. What was the thing in regards to hand-to-hand counters? That is a good point. Thank you for reminding me. Let me have a quick look-de-loo. Where are the reference cards? Here we are. Combat. This is ship combat. Let me go a little higher up. Right, so when you attempt a melee attack, if the attack was a post attack and the target one... That's a good point. Yes, counterattack. I'd entirely forgotten about that. So if you want to spend a point of momentum, Nova can counterattack.
Yeah, why not?
Cool. So again, it's the other way around now, so... He does only 2. Only 2. And your dragon scale dice mean that you get on it. So you do inflict damage. So once again, roll your... Ooh, that's better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very nice. Now, punching a Jem'Hadar almost hurts as much as being
It's always
punched.
big angler.
So it's all that scaly skin and all those spikes and whatnot. But this guy you hit definitely harder than the other fella. So do you want to knock him back or do you want to knock him down?
He's going down as well.
He's going down as well. So a big old scissor sweep or some such like that. Or the James Kirk hip throw. So there's Jem'Hadar warriors being flung every which way but loose. But so far so good, yes. But they do have natural resistance to, well, most things. They've got their own scaly skin that works as armor. So once again, Vibers or Bertram, who would like to go next?
I'm assuming the doctor wants to go last.
I normally do, yeah.
Okay, right. In which case, you're attacking one of my crew. You don't want to attack my crew. So I'm going to shoot that guy with a phaser. Is that control and security?
That's control and security. Flat difficulty of 2. He's not behind cover, so...
Right. And...
Two successes on the money. So, roll your phaser damage. Ooh, that was... Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not bad at all. -2 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was a fairly hefty shot. You had time to draw it and fire it, didn't have time to tune it to any other setting, but there we go. Cool. One of them goes next. It may as well be the guy you just shot at. Return fire? Return fire. He is going to... Oh, he's a Jem'Hadar. He wouldn't take cover. He's going to stride a little further into the room, but go near to one of the panels. Not as if he's trying to take cover from it, but he's backing up. Looks like he's making for the panel, but for... Not entirely obvious, but he's going to snap off a shot as he goes. He needs control and security just as much as you did, so let's see how he does. 2 successes, which means he manages to successfully shoot. Vibers. Now, plasma rifles. No joke. 6 successes, 3 effects for a total of 9. Ooh. Now, Vipers only has 9 on his stress track if he wants to avoid that injury. So if you want to dive dramatically out of the way and negate that shot, you're going to need to spend a point of determination.
Let's spend that point of determination, and I'm doing that under keeping the memory of the dead and alive, and neither the ship. I'm important, damn it!
I like it.
I have rank!
I know how the bits fit together.
My life has value!
He wanks exceptionally highly in Wome, you know.
Which, actually I forgot to activate Vipers, so that leaves Bertram. You are able to take a very minor action to get out of the direct line of fire if you really want.
Can I do that and fire?
Or you could step very close to him and use your hyperspray.
Moss to the face.
You do have the option for an anesthetic hyperspray, as well as phaser, so it's up to you.
Given that Vibers looks like he's well, he's out of. He took a hit there. Can I try and unload as much anesthetic or whatever into the hyperspray? Can I try and get it into the flow of Ketracel White that Jem'Hadar are constantly feeding themselves?
Ooh. Target the Ketracel White dispenser. Yes, it's gonna be it's gonna be more difficult because you're targeting a very small area, but it's definitely possible.
Okie dokie.
So he's gonna be resisting this. Ooh. So that means it's gonna be difficulty 3 to do.
Right. I shall give it a go. What am I rolling?
Well, control and medicine.
Control and medicine. Any focuses?
Interference with Ketracel White dispensers. Strangely enough, you don't have that. I'm going to go with xenobiology because it's xenobiology. You're trying to affect his biology, so yeah.
Okie dokie. Shame I don't have a point of determination to activate my Cochrane,
But you do have 4 momentum in the pool if you want to buy an extra dice.
Yep. Is it 1 for 1?
It is
then,
1 point for 1 dice, but to buy 2 dice, it's 3.
Is anyone okay? Sorry.
You can also use your Starcross, which would give you a focus range of 10.
There's that too.
Okay.
What you need to survive at this point.
In that case, I'll spend 1, and I'll also activate Starcross.
Okay, good point. Well done, well made.
Thank you, Sean. Okay.
So remember to use focus and dedicated focus as well.
Yep. Okay. And it's 3 dice, is that right?
3 dice.
6 successes.
Holy moly! 6 successes. So
I
you
am
got
Bertram,
2.
Lord of the Woods.
Essentially, you
Winners
can...
don't use drugs.
Green does not welcome you here.
roll the damage for the anesthetic hyperspray by clicking on the image next to the left of the title, anesthetic hyperspray, and then you can roll, if you want to pile all of those extra successes into additional damage, you can do 4 extra dice worth of anesthetic hyperspray.
Right. Is that D6s?
So essentially, you see where it says anesthetic hyperspray in your belongings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've
It's got
rolled that.
an icon. You've already rolled that. Cool. So if you go to perform challenge, it'll ask you how many dice in the pool. Choose 4 and then roll.
Okay. Okay. Oh.
Only 1. But you did get 1 effect, which is... That's a good point, actually. It's intense. So that is 4, 5... You know what? Because you put so much into that, he's going down.
Yay!
He just goes into seizures now. Since you injected
mean
him
we
right in his
potentially actually have a
Ketracel light
live-
dispenser.
Does that mean we might actually have a live prisoner for once?
Depends on how much of a shock he gets, because there's a thing of biological and physiological shock, both from interference and dependence on the drug, which it could trigger. And we've seen that messes them up. And basically dumping that amount of anesthetic directly into their system through a method that's designed specifically to feed drugs into a system that would have actually adapted over a long time.
So
It's
you
quite
just took
possible that
It's quite possible that...
it's quite possible the thing could just go into toxic shock and expire.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
effectively, you just took a very large dose of anesthetic and dropped it into someone's already set up intravenous drip.
Yep.
In other words, Bertram's a murderer.
I don't believe it's murder when you're fighting in the battle and the war. I think it's just
Self-defense.
Self-defense. So the guy never attacked you personally. You ran up and stabbed him with an
As chief medical officer, sometimes you have to make a choice to save one life and allow another person to die. I had to choose between saving Vibers and saving the Jem'Hadar, and I acted to save our first officer. He's more important tactically.
So, because I pulled the determination of needs of the ship, you took it literally. Okay.
So the Jem'Hadar warrior that was the first one that Nova took down gets back to his feet, and this means that he's ready to attack Nova in hand-to-hand combat, which means Nova needs to once again give me a daring and security to resist. Oh, blimey. Wow. Oh yeah, nowhere near. Nowhere near. So that gives you momentum back in the pool. Which means you're fully able to counterattack if you wish.
Yeah.
Goes into the tombstone.
Oh, good, here we go again. The RKO, out of nowhere.
Good point, yeah.
Hello.
Nova goes for a finisher, the supernova.
Which unfortunately gets countered mid-air, it looks like.
Yeah.
Which means the Jem'Hadar gets 2. Right then. Let's do this.
Wait,
Ooh.
isn't Nova countering? Hang on, wait. Oh no, sorry. He's swinging at Nova. I'm just like, isn't Nova defending? Isn't Nova retaliating from him swinging? So.
Nova's defense was a complication.
Yeah.
He got what was necessary to get over her defense, and she rolled a complication, so fortunately this means this goes through, and Jem'Hadar attacks count as lethal and vicious. So that's actually 6. Nova does have enough stress in her track to take that, if she wishes to.
I'm gonna half it anyway, I think.
So it's only 3. Nice. Good. Well, that was one hell of a punch. That guy just... Excuse me, it was such a punch that it tickled my nose and made me sneeze. Wahoo! Alright, seconds away, round 2. So you've just lessened the damage, cool, and the gang.
Yeah.
So, Nova starting things off again?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a retaliation to the retaliation. Do you want to try using something a bit bigger, more damaging as a weapon, like the dagger or a phaser? Actually, the dagger does the same as your unarmed strike, never mind.
Start clubbing him with his phaser.
I think she'll stick to the same tactics, but I'm gonna throw in the People's Champion.
Oh. Cochrane Medal of Excellence. Taking stuff apart, the People's Champion. For acrobatic rolling.
I was about to say, part of me was just wondering, like, is he replace the name of that and just change it to, like, the Medal of the People's Champion or something along those lines?
So you receive 2 benefits of spending determination rather than 1, so that's what you want to do?
Yeah.
So let me roll this guy's resistance. That's a quickie. Alright, only 1, so this you should have no problems here. So, using determination, we replace with cheese. So 3, so you can exchange them on those extras as on a 1-for-1 basis to roll extra damage dice.
Yeah.
Nice. So roll your unarmed combat and then do perform challenge and add the 3 extra dice. So, ooh, that wasn't great. 1, 2, 3. See what the extra dice bring up. 4, 5, 6. Not bad. But these guys are very, very tough. Whittling him away little bits at a time. But still whittling him away. Still knocking him down?
Yeah.
Okay. Knocking them off their feet, keeping them going. The other guy uses a minor action to roll out of the way. Uses another minor action to get to his feet, which means I have to spend threat. Takes a look around. The doctor just put one guy down with an anesthetic jolt to the neck. Jem'Hadar is going to try and shoot the doctor. The doctor is out in the open, has no cover, therefore cannot gain any kind of avoidance, so it's going to be a flat 2, but he doesn't roll all that well, so it's a shot that barely misses, but that misses nevertheless. So it goes wide. The doctor still has to duck to get out of the way. Vipers
Bertram
or
just
Bertram
turns around. Bertram turns around coldly with the anesthetic spray in his hand and just glares at the Jem'Hadar like, "You're next."
No, you're next.
This is now empty. I need to beat you down with this now.
So is
Beat it
Bertram
down
going
with
next?
anesthetic iron spray.
Or is Vipers going next?
I think it's Viper's turn.
Well, Vipers is now
Can't have-
technically behind cover, so who does Vipers want to go up against?
Well, there's
Guy who's down or the guy who's up?
I think, based off how Kev would have done the fighting,
Ooh.
definitely need to shoot the guy who's standing up.
This is for Kath. Alright, you have 5 momentum in the pool as well if you need any extra to help with attacking. Because this is difficulty 2, he's out in the open, he has no cover.
Cool, I'm pinching a dice.
Cool. Excuse me.
Let's see how he takes that.
Oh,
Apparently,
no.
really well, as I missed terribly.
Oh no.
You need a 17 and you rolled a 19 and 218.
Deary me, okay.
I'd be glad I didn't buy even more dice.
You know the Viva La Dirt League sketch where it's sort of like keyboard versus
Yes.
console, and he's like with the bear, which it's exactly like Viber says, like.
Yes. Vibe. So Davis is using a console controller rather than keyboard and mouse. Bless. Auto aim doesn't always work, it seems. Jem'Hadar Warrior, who is on the floor using his minor action to get up, draws his own knife rather than using the blunt of his blade. So I'm using a point of threat to give me an extra minor action, and then Nova can roll daring and security in order to resist. Ooh. Okay. Oh, blimey. Wow, okay. 2 over, which means that if Nova wanted to, could spend momentum to counter-attack.
Let's see if I can put him back down, I suppose.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. Oh, keeps me on the floor.
Get up again. I get knocked down. Get up again. Yes, I realise that's just repeating the same thing over and over, but it's pretty much just whoa. Versus his resistance of probably not that much. Nope.
Ooh, almost a 20.
So, yeah, almost a 20, but 3 over and above what you needed, so you could put all of those extra 3 into 3 extra damage dice if you wanted to.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. And 3 extra. 5, 6. 6 in total. And another knockdown, another series of knockdowns. Bada boom, which leaves us with Dr. Bertram.
Well, sadly, my anesthetic spray needs recharging, so I can't just go in and do the same thing again.
Just moss him. Moss to the
Well,
face.
just beat him with it.
Yeah. Oh no, you've got the energy in Moss. Just like, here, have fun, Moss. Eat this man alive.
I was
Actually, isn't the injector the thing that injects it? That is powered, isn't it? The
What
white
are you
was
going to
that
say,
a bit?
Gareth? Sorry?
I was considering that, but it's not an injection thing because, strangely enough, Bertram doesn't normally inject the Bertram moss into people. It's basically in a small sort of like container that is designed basically as kind of an energy Faraday, detect energy, so it's essentially dormant until I open it. But I'm currently not armed with anything so I can actually sort of hit him with, so if I can, I want to run behind here to get by cover.
Mm-hmm.
And I shall...
If you want to draw a phase, you're going to need to do another minor action, which is spending a point of momentum.
I suppose... Yeah, I suppose I shall do that for now. I considered pulling out the Bertramos instead, but I don't think... I've already done my... sort of awesome out of the box thinking. I don't think right now is time to do another one of those yet.
Okay. So you've put yourself behind cover. You've,
Yep.
I imagine, drawn a weapon.
Yep, I'll draw my phaser.
Okay, so it's difficulty 2 because he's not. The nearest one is not in cover, unless you're shooting for the one that Nova's currently beating down.
I think, but she seems to be doing a much better job of that. So I'll shoot for the one.
Control and security difficulty 2.
Okay.
He gets no defensive roll.
2 successes.
Exactly what you needed.
Yay! It's only a type 1 phase, I'm afraid.
But you got 4 successes overall.
Yeah.
Minus his natural armor. Okay, so we come to it. Nova, keep things going.
Alright.
He's on the floor, so he's a bit easier to hit, but I'm still gonna roll for his defense anyway, as he's fighting from the floor. And there we go, only 1 success. It's not easy to fight from the floor. 1 success back, which means you successfully managed to get him. Take the targeting off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
It's apparently easier to kick in the face than the ground.
Yeah, you rob him of the rest of his stress. Not dead, just defeated. Nicely done. Taken out. Vipers or Bertram? Who's going next up?
I think Vipers needs a chance to take one out, otherwise he won't get any bragging rights.
Okay.
Bragging rights? Captain's gonna kill me if I miss again.
Can I use my movement to steal this guy's knife?
Sure.
Mine now.
There's one of the things that I'd like to see Vipers report to Andrew's later if it's like, well, we were attacked by Cmdr, but the majority of them were taken out by the Doctor.
Right, you got 1 over and above what was needed there, Davis, so you can either bank that in the momentum bank, or you can put it for 1 extra bit of damage.
Damage, because I don't trust my rolls
Roll
for some
face
reason.
damage, and do an extra challenge dice. So, 9!
9!
Roll 1 extra challenge dice, please. See what you get.
Yep.
10. 10 with 4 effects. 10 minus that. So close. It's the Jem'Hadar warrior's turn next. He limps over to this console with 1 action, uses a major action to rip out a component, taps a button with another minor action, at which point he gets... if I can just find it.
Beamed up.
Beamed up, yes. Which ends combat. So, that does leave you the time you need to A, pick up daggers, and B, sort out which bits that you want to take with you. As far as components out of the comm array goes. Yes, go, sorry.
I was saying, can we check what it was the Jem'Hadar just ripped off and ran away with?
Sure, it looks like some of the components for the comm array. Luckily,
anything
not the
we
bits that
haven't
you
got
needed.
spares?
No.
Oh, good.
Means there's a ship out there, they're trying to salvage our stuff to get by.
Or if they're going for the comm stuff specifically, maybe they think they can use it to break into our communication network.
Maybe they just need. Maybe they've just only got a shuttle left, and they just need to call home.
Possible. So, in the time it takes you to nab the remaining pieces out of the transceiver array that you want to take back to replace your own, that gives Edwards and Stevens enough time to bring the shuttle back, so that you have got something to transport on with. So that's what we'll do.
Before
you do,
leave the ship, the usual check. Do we think there's anyone still alive on this Hulk?
You do not. There are so
Oh,
many.
good.
There are so many escape pods that you reckon that a good majority of the crew managed to get to the escape pods and jettison. So none left alive.
Oh. Has to be the case, doesn't it?
What are you on about? These could be competent people we need on the ship. They weren't on an Ober.
Look, we need a new night shift.
Yes.
We do need a new night shift. They did kind of explode.
So, going back to the situation as it is unfolding. With this new information that you have just gleaned, what would you like to do? Whoa, what was
Fancy
that?
Vincent in a cart here on the way home?
But yes, it's certainly worth the drive by.
Okay. So, heading towards the Cartier. So, what's on the Cartier? Without needing to do another scan, the Cartier is shot through for the most part, but the one thing that they do have intact very much, thanks to it being a brand new Intrepid, is its warp core. Its main injection warp core injection assembly is ripe for the taking. But also, let me see, escape pods. 4.
Alright, group, you know the drill. Nova, let's go rob a warp core.
Always wanted to steal one of those.
So,
You
yes.
it's also an Intrepid, so its ejection system actually works. And it's recoverable, so we could even eject it and you could fire a warp core at our ship to catch. Very slowly.
He said catch.
Just
Gotta throw
Nova
that
waiting
touchdown.
outside the ejection hatch. Going, all right, bring it this way. She goes flying off into space. Totally worth it. I'm flying.
I don't hear any objections.
So,
The last words that Nova ever muttered as she went at communications: "No consequences."
So over the course of the last couple of hours, let's say 3 hours, you've been busily shuttling, literally, escape pods from the Midway. Now that you're on the way back, you're doing the same with the Cartier, and also hefting their core, all of which takes time. So, let me just have a quick old look here.
I suppose we'd also send this one back with the warning of there being a Jem'Hadar shuttle out there and
Yes.
potentially jamming communication, because that's what they were after.
So what we're going to do now is we are going to get back to the bridge of the Navis as the Cartier's warp core assembly, or at least its injection assembly, is brought on board, so that now your engineering crews can start putting things back together and drawing some power back in. So let's see that done. We can do this as a roll if you wish to generate some more momentum, or we can assume that because your guys are very, very good at this point, that they actually do pull this off. It's up to you. Do you want to try it for some more momentum, or do you want to run the safe route and assume that they take their time installing it safely?
Well, I think we need to do this safely. As much as we want to be like gung-ho and get it up and running,
We don't have any spare parts, so I think we have to actually go safe.
Alright. Wait. Some of the power comes back. Systems start to flicker onwards. Now, thankfully, because of what you have brought back, communications can at least be utilized, can be brought back online. So you will, within the same space of time that it takes the warp core to be brought back online, the communications array can be replaced with the one that you got off of the Midway, and likewise the isolinear chips and the main server stack that you brought back from the Thorn can all be utilized to replace your own NAFT systems. So you start as soon as main power comes back online. The warp core is your single core is brought online. That helps feed power to the various systems. So you still have. Let's see. You found the isolinear stacks. It's now going to take time. Cursed being your main system audit specialist and computer focused, as is Vibers. Either of those could tell you that they're going to need time to essentially run setup, a boot up setup for the main computer, because you've taken someone else's main computer and plugged it into this ship. And of course the first thing the main computer is going to do is to check its peripherals, and it's going to find ones that weren't there before.
It'll run. We just need to rebuild the main. We just need to rebuild the core's state. It needs to reset up.
Yes.
We'll get it up and going. It'll take a bit.
But it will take time. So this once again comes down to the question of, do you want to take time doing it safely, or do you want to fast track some stuff? Because now the captain has just been told that there are Dominion troops out there salvaging stuff too, for whatever reason. So it depends entirely how you want to do this.
Is there any other bits we need to get the ship up and operational?
You did not. You did bring part of the. You did bring part of a assembly, a photon torpedo assembly line, but not for the purposes of building photon torpedoes. You brought it back to help with other stuff.
Because we still have to go check the Belfast, I think.
Potentially, yes. Because you've got the injection assembly now, and you don't have any photon torpedoes or quantum torpedoes. You do have comms. The main computer needs some time, but you don't have. What did I just say? We got. You got the injection assembly. The intermix chamber still needs repairing, which would be extra time on top of everything else. So what's the plan, gang? Do we just want to take the shuttle, or do we, now that the main ship, the Navis, has got power, do we want to trundle that along instead, or what? What do we want to do we think?
I think now the Navis has got power, we should use that.
Means a bit more prepared if something tries to jump us.
Okay. So we are taking the Masaba out of the equation.
And then I think Vibers is focused on helping engineering get everything up and running on the computer side, so that Bravo can focus on the actual engines and power.
Okay. Alrighty. Speaking of engines and power, if I can just take us to here, we can see that the Navis at the moment is without actual power generated to it. It'll have probably a single point. No shields, and a number of its systems have taken breaches. So, whilst it is trundling slowly in the direction of the Belfast. Is there anything you would like to attend to while in transit? No thoughts?
I suppose generating reserve power or some form of shield.
Yeah. Just trying to get some sort of operational system online.
Okay.
So we've got some power, potentially the shield. I'd probably say shields are more necessary than weapons at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
With how many life pods we've got on board and etc., it'll help with navigation, with deflectors, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we want to put shields up, this will require that last little bit of power. So, probably want to generate some power first. So, whoever wants to do it can give me a power management task, which is either daring or control, and engineering with a difficulty of 2. But whoever does power can't do shields, essentially, because you're trying to do 2 things. So choose. Who's doing power management, who's doing shield regeneration?
Well, if we send Lieutenant Commander Bravo for power, he's got power abilities.
Yeah, here he is.
Does Cruz have power abilities?
She might well do, actually.
Doesn't look like it.
She has operations.
Stevens got a little more power, so she'd be better for the power task.
Okay. So whoever wants to do the power management thing, I mean, it doesn't have to be just one person doing it, but whichever crew are doing the power management won't be available to do the regeneration of shields. So, daring or control and engineering with a difficulty of 2.
We do Bravos and Stevens double teaming it and use both.
Sounds like an idea. Gareth, do you want to be Bravo?
Okay.
So either daring or control and engineering, whichever one you think he'd use. Any focus to do with power management. Which of the 2 do you think should lead? Probably the chief engineer. But Stevens isn't bad with that kind of stuff, so Stevens could just as easily lead. Going once. Going twice. Alright then, let's have the chief engineer lead and Stevens can assist.
Complication.
Oh dear. Does he have a Legion of Honor or anything that can be used to negate it, or do you want to negate it?
I'd like to, but it's the dice roller that gets the decision on that.
Yeah.
He does have a point of determination if he wants to spend it to re-roll that.
I think I'll use a determination in that case, guys. Especially as Stevens will do it. Okay, I shall re-roll.
So, yes, no
2
problem,
successes.
too big to fix. 2 successes, so that's 3 overall, which means you get 1 over and above. Creating power generation to the realm of... On success, you gain a point of power plus 1 point of power per momentum spent. So you can either put that 1 over what was needed back into the momentum pool, or it can generate an extra point of power.
Are we looking for extra power?
Yeah.
Stevens was part of this. What is the more power? A little more power. Whenever you succeed at engineering task aboard your ship, you may spend 1 momentum to regain 1 spent power. Okay, so that's
I'd be tempted to spend the momentum just to get a little bit more in the tank, but happy to be overridden on that one.
What do people think?
We'll get more momentum.
So spend the momentum, essentially. Okay.
But there's other people here as well, so what's anyone else think? Yay, nay, we're talking nonsense and please speak English.
Anyone think it's a bad idea?
No.
Alright then.
Go.
You can spend
Right in
momentum
front.
to add more. So, Webby, it's your character, so how many momentum are you at? Is it just the one?
Just the one, yeah.
It just says you may spend one. Yeah, there we are. Okay. So spend the point of momentum and I will add a point of power. Cool. This leaves whoever wants to try and get some shields back. This is a control and engineering task assisted by the ship. So Navis can help with the ship.
Okay.
The ship needs to give me structure and engineering. But this is difficulty 2 because the shields are at 0. Whoever wants to do the shields, which I'm imagining is Nova, can give me control and engineering.
Was it structure and engineering from the ship?
Yes, please. Difficulty 2. Ooh, there we are, that's good. 2 overall, you've got exactly what was needed to regenerate ship shields. Regains 2. You can spend momentum to regain 2 more for each point of momentum spent, or you can hold on to that. No? Okay. Alright, so you've got a small chunk of power that can now be used for various effects, such as powering the shields and putting power into propulsion. So we've got at least that small chunk back in the battery, as it were. So, what would you like to do next? As I take us back to space. You said you were heading towards the Belfast?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, probably a good plan.
I was keeping scanners out to see if we can pick up any traces of the Dominion shuttle or anything else.
In that case, who wants to be sensors for me?
Unless countermanded,
I think it's
made sense.
worthwhile,
Yeah, it just made sense. to be on
especially
that
have we also gone through and doing the blood screening, etc.
Yep, we'll have assumed that that's gone on.
Okay.
So let's
Who's not holding a
have
bit?
somebody who hasn't acted yet, so we're probably talking Edwards. You're right back, no problem, Sean. If we
Okay.
can have Edwards along with the ship, so Webby, if you fancy being the Navis. We're looking for sensors and security. Since we
From
are
the Navis.
From the Navis and control and
Security?
engineering, control and security for those who are using the sensors. So Edwards.
Sensors and science and
Yes,
security, you said, sorry.
yes, please, yes. Oh, 2 successes, very nice. And the Navis gets no more, but 2. All right, all right. Okie dokie. This is where things get interesting because, even though this is loading very, very slowly, as the Navis trundles along at its moderate power level, I'm going to bring folks to bear here. Doop, doop, doop. And we're also going to need a few others, if I can find them. got Stevens available, we've got Chief Engineer Bravo available, and more importantly, we have got
Lord.
all available. Sensors pick up a power signature moving amongst the debris. Whoops, a daisy. I didn't mean to do that. And unfortunately, you can confirm it is a Jem'Hadar battle cruiser. However, they seem to be in bad shape, just like yourselves. They are moving through the debris field. It looks like they were trying to use it to avoid sensors. Whether they've detected that you've detected them, it's difficult to tell. But it seems the primary ship, the flagship of the fleet that was moving through this area, has survived.
Not for long.
Not for long.
We don't have weapons yet, do we?
Claw,
wish to
Lenny,
engage?
get the Samson. Hey, they started this. They've killed members of our crew.
I thought
They
you were about
attacked
to say you
us
actually
on a
loaded-
salvage mission. They could have been peaceful. They could have ignored us.
I thought you were going to load Claudia to a torpedoes and go, fine, boarding actions.
Now, Lenny was not... He suffered a facial wound.
Alright, okay, fine. Claw, come with me.
Okay.
Acting, going for it, okay.
Okay, so does this mean
Commander
we're
as
currently...
per helm.
No, I'm currently in
that's
the main
the con,
computer
sorry.
bay.
Well, things might just have to change, won't they? Because now...
It's fine.
You're the highest ranking officer on the ship.
And you've got shipboard
Yep.
tactical systems as your focus, and therefore could be the one to fire the main weapons. And Edwards becomes the de facto helm. So
Fine.
we are
Okay.
I can handle weapons to main computer bay. I've got a spare tablet. I've got a spare console.
That's the good
Just
thing
trying to boot
about
the
the
computer.
LCAS system.
He's just trying to boot up the computer system with unit hello, and hello's just like, sir, I can do this. Like, shut up. I am working from here.
That
We're a
is a
little
good
bit low on
point.
weapons. Is it worth trying to scan the debris field as soon as something that could be ignited to help
Well,
cause some damage to the ship?
that's a good question, and if you wanted to, you could try and
I did
create
get also
some kind of trait in order to do that if you wanted.
up for that, and I do apologise. I did actually speak over you to say that.
It's
So,
alright, it's fine, it's fine. I'm gonna throw...
so it makes sense. There's going to be something potentially explosive amongst the wreckage.
Yep. I'm game. Let me just find... There we go. Crew.
What do we need?
Well,
To make the advantage?
you would need to create, it would be a difficulty 2, some kind of something. Let's think, what were you going to use?
It'd probably just be sensors to locate areas that could be ignited.
So that sounds to me like control and science, control and engineering, to aided by the ship and its sensors.
I'm on helm, so Edwards can't roll it, so it's whoever's going to be on sensors.
Okay. Is Sean still be right back?
And I'm back.
No, you're back. Okay, cool.
Just in time.
So, one of us, one of you, one of them, one of you, one of them, and back and forth it goes. So, who wants to take the first action? If it's
So who will
Edwards
step?
to do with the creating a trait, then sounds to me like Edwards should go first.
Would it be Edwards, though, even though he's on the helm?
Good point. Somebody else. So at the moment we are assuming and I do mean assuming, so you can correct me on this, Vibers might very well be on tactical at this point. Edward's on helm, Nova on operations. Stevens could also be on operations in order to do things like bringing power back and shields.
That words, Dave. Mono was injured, wasn't he? So Kirst was currently operating the comm system, so she potentially would have... Turin could probably take over comms to get to free Kirst up.
Okay.
Take over as science.
Which means she'd take over as sensors. Okay. Kirst.
Oh.
Here we go. So
what weapons have we got working at the moment?
What? Sorry?
What weapons do we actually have that work?
Just your phaser array.
Do we have the program for using the board-to-board sonic disruptors?
Ooh.
Not disruptors, you know, the sound gun, but board-to-board ship, but the board ship-to-ship program.
It probably wasn't among those things that were repaired and in need of repair. No.
Mm.
As in, not a priority system.
Yeah.
I already know what the captain's going to say, but technically we've got the we potentially still have the prototype of the sound mine. If you want to project it out into them.
Oh, use it.
Okay, then we're actually testing this thing.
The captain at this moment in time is more than likely running on emotion rather than logic.
The captain jumped out of her seat, ran down the deck, grabbed Court, and disappeared off to the hangar bay. And hasn't informed the crew what's happening yet.
To be honest, the sound's probably going to be the best thing to deliver it, but it'd probably take time to set up. So yeah, it's not going to have time. So yeah, firing it from the ship, I suppose.
Then, Sean, if you could be cursed, fellow cat and all. Control and science with focus on sensors. Aided Gareth by the Navis, giving me sensors and security again.
Holy.
Nice. 3 successes, 1 over and above what was needed. Alright, so the trait you were after to try and scan for a detonationable area of debris.
Basically cause more damage to their shields.
I will call that trait Sight Go Boom. Cool.
Give the Samson a bit more punch.
That is your sensors station done. Now it's their turn. They are going to engage on an attack run, which means they start closing distance, but they're still close to the debris field. Well, now it's one of you.
Okay. Is this something we can get the Navis to there first, or is it better to just shoot the ship's phasers and hope for the best?
What do you think?
What range are we on?
You are currently at mid-range.
I'd say I wouldn't like the Navis to get up close at the minute because they look to be in a better condition than we are.
Some sort of defensive maneuvering, I'd say.
Yeah.
They try to basically dodge any incoming fire. I say the mine won't do anything until their shields are down anyway, so there's no point trying to set up for an attack run to drop it into their general direction. So just defensive maneuvers, I suppose. I know Yan actually had the specific wording for
it's it was an offensive defensive maneuver.
I was just specifically going on the defensive rather than the offensive part.
Well, yeah, defensive maneuvers.
Evasive
maneuvers to make us harder to hit. Sorry, yeah.
So that's essentially Edwards declaring Helm is going to do defensive maneuvers. Okay.
Is that control plus con?
Well, no, it becomes something they're rolling against your piloting roll when they try and shoot. So yeah, that's something I'm keeping from 2nd edition because I quite like that. gets you more involved in what's actually going on. So that's one of you. One of them.
We haven't gained determination, have we?
Sorry, what was that?
So I was just asking, for some reason I've got an extra determination, though I used one last week.
You still only got one.
We used it.
You've got something. You got it back somehow. I can't remember how, but take it.
Okay.
They are not waiting. So this will be where you get to do your evasive maneuvers, as it turns out. So you may as well do it now. Control and con. Gareth, if you could be the Navis again. This is going to be... Ooh, what is it? Is it engines and con or engines... Pardon me, security. Let me have a look. Ship to ship. Ship to ship. Ship to ship. Command. Helm. If it's an evasive action, it's assisted by structure and con. There we go, pardon me.
Structure and con.
Yes, please. Wow,
Success.
4 successes. That's what they need to get over. Okay. Alright, so they do control and security, aided by the ships. Weapons, security. So they got 3, nowhere near your 4. So that was a close one. It was a shot that, if it wasn't for Edwards' piloting ability, especially with something that's the size of several aircraft carriers, manages to pull it away out of the shot of their phased polaron beams. One of you goes next.
I think we probably need to shoot that site before they move out the way.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That will allow then Claude and
In which case,
Andrews to make
target
the
phasers. And
All right, so
fire.
that brings your turn into it. So
You don't have phases.
We've got phasers.
yeah, that's all you've got. So
That's all we've got.
Sean, if you can be
One
the Navis
phaser
for
array.
this. And the
We have
Navis,
a phaser.
I want weapons and security, please.
Doesn't
And
our
from-
phase have something different about it? Was that the previous
No,
one?
we took it off. That was the old Navis that had the experimental phasers.
Control and security, 2 dice from Vibers, please.
Yep.
3 successes, which was what you needed. So... Did I miss? I did not miss.
It sounds like that they're leaking drive plasma, and we just set the drive plasma on fire.
Entirely possible. So can I get you to... Thank you for... Ooh, there we are. That's what we wanted.
And what do we get extra for Psycho Boom?
I'm just calculating that now. Ooh. That's a couple of... tag errors there, but there we go. Okay, so yeah, that was huge. So, they got resistance of that much. I think what I'll do is I will make that as if you had Vicious on this. So each of those effects will add an extra bit of damage, which means 18 in total means 12, means those go.
Okay. Boom.
Psycho boom. So their shields are stripped off in one big explosive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
Just
detonate.
think what the ship would have, what our phasers would do if we had all of the arrays working, not just one.
So yeah, you see that they're venting drive plasma. You target the site next to it, which is where the drive plasma cloud is spreading out to, and your precise shot ignites not only the drive plasma but whatever ignitable gases were from whatever ship used to occupy this debris cloud, and there's a spectacular explosion. Such a spectacular explosion, in fact, that I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4. As the explosive gases ignite, the battle cruiser starts listing as you see a lot of its internal systems are exploding and hull breaches are going off everywhere. There's a moment of a sensor blip that suggests another craft, but that other craft is then eclipsed by the battle cruiser's warp core going critical, and the whole thing detonates in a massive explosion. So it seems that the Dominion had prioritized power, shields, and weapons over actual structural repairs to their systems, which you took advantage of by hitting Sight Go Boom. So, geez. That was stupendous. And so, the Samson can do
Oh, we're going hunting. If there's a sensor blip, we're going hunting.
So I would like, Webby, if you can be Claude for me, please. I will allow, where is it? Actually, no, there's nothing there. I thought it was tactical systems, but it's not. It's weapon systems. Can I get you to get Claude to give me a control and security check? And Webby, you can be the Samson assisting with sensors and security.
Do you want someone else to roll, because you're getting me to roll both of them?
Oh yeah, beg pardon. I didn't notice. Gareth, you be the Samson.
Yep. Okay.
Sensors and security from the Samson, and control and security.
I don't have access to the Samson.
You don't have access to the Samson? Dear, I need to change that.
No, neither do I, actually.
That's interesting. Did that?
It's the only way to stop us scratching it.
It's the only Starfleet ship on board the Dominion vessel, Unchangeling vessel.
There we go, that should work now.
Okay. What was I rolling again, sorry?
Sensors and security.
Oh dear.
Okay. And what about Claude, control and security?
I was going to use the determination for that role. Although he has got Legion of Honor, hasn't he? I think. No, he hasn't. We never gave him Legion of Honor.
He is Claude. Why would Claude need Legion of Honor?
This is true. What's the resolution?
You could always throw your Legion of Honor or whatever the captain's one for.
I would be tempted, but the captain's not actively involved in that situation.
You're in the ship.
Go on then.
Okay. But I still need the control and security roll from Claude, please.
Yeah, I'm using his determination under I am never back down.
Never back down? Yep, okay.
The captain's kind of egging him on this.
Successes overall. Okay. Now, like I said, the sheer amount of boom that went on has created a big old area that scrambles sensors for a bit, but you do get you do make a sensor sweep of the area. There's no evidence that there were any other craft, at least no life pods ejected from the thing, but you wonder if Dominion ships even have those things. There's no evidence of any other ship, but there's so much interference that it's difficult to tell, especially from the fact that their core went critical, so you don't want to be anywhere near that for a little bit, as drive radiation is going to be quite prolific until it disperses, but nevertheless you've got pretty accurate sensor analysis of that area that you can bring back to the Navis to have an investigate of later. Because according to the Samson's sensors, there are no other active ships present in the area, and you stick around long enough to confirm that. What that does allow you to do is to bring the Samson back aboard the Navis and get back to the bridge, whereupon the situation with the life pods, finding the life pods from the other Starfleet vessels, goes ahead. You can use the transporters in a limited capacity of the Navis to start bringing the folks on board, and the tractor beam can be used to snag a couple as well. More life pods are found, thank goodness, to the tune of, who was left? The Belfast. Let's see how many other life pods were found on the Belfast. 5. So on a California class, not great, but it's better than nothing. So overall, it seems that the USS Thorn did suffer the most casualties because we found the least pods, which is unfortunate because it was the biggest ship of the fleet besides the Navis. So the potential loss of life there is not to be downplayed. Something else I'm going to look at as well here is, if I can find it. Well, this of course gives you the ability to now start looking at proper repair of your systems now to try and get as much as you can out of what's left. I just need to check something first. Not that I can find it. Give me a moment. Aha. That was very helpful. Thank you, PDF, whatever. PDF reader. There we go. Okay, so you are able to salvage the remaining pieces for your engine that you need from the Belfast, and you have something approaching a functioning ship. And as has been pointed out, your ship is so humongous that you have room for pretty much everybody that you managed to save. Needless to say, Dr. Bertram and his medical team are going to need the entirety of Deck 8 with all its various medical suites to filter all of the necessary people who need their injuries looked at. Because the people in the escape pods were just, as I noted before, stabilized enough that they weren't dying, but there are multiple people with injuries, as one would expect.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it does look like that, as is tradition, the captains went down with their ships, so Lieutenant Commander Walker is the most senior officer out of everybody rescued. And this is where we get to your own casualty reports. So this is where we do a head count. Can I get Andrews, and for command staff, can I get Nova for internal system staff? Let me see, am I reading this right? Senior officers perform a head count for their departments. to determine if any members of their team were injured or killed.
You don't want me to roll then, because that's department heads.
Quite. So
Yep.
that's up to you how you want to interpret that.
What was
Nevertheless,
it we're rolling?
you are rolling a challenge dice, so a d6. So you can go to your character sheet and roll a single challenge dice.
We've got 6 key departments, haven't we? So we
Should
can roll
do.
one for each.
Cool. So according to what Sean just rolled, nobody was lost from operations. That's good.
Gareth got a success. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good point.
one is successfully
it
killed.
was one with an effect. Okay, cool. Each character that rolls an effect for every breach corresponds to the number of crew injured in battle. Number of effects rolled corresponds to the number of crew killed in action. For every point of determination spent, one crew member killed is nearly injured.
No determination.
Oh dear. So, every
so
a crew member killed in action is instead of each. Okay, so we've lost one from sick. We've lost one of the medical staff. Oh dear.
Can we use...
Is it determined randomly, or is it?
Well, let's have a look. Effects rolled to correspond to the number of crew killed. Characters may spend determination. For every point of determination, one crew member is killed. In action is instead injured. Each any player may choose one or more of the killed crew members to be a close friend of the character. It can be a named, or it can just remain an unnamed.
Can we potentially pull determinations?
I suppose so.
Out of the
Or we
players,
just
only
read,
2 yeah. Out of the players, there's only 2 determinations.
Yeah.
So
We've still got other departments for deaths yet.
yeah,
Yes.
Let's do
Yeah,
the
so-
whole thing.
yeah. Go through the whole thing and then see if we want to spend.
So let's see, what departments should we have? We should have Helm or Con. We should have
We've only got 1 con officer.
operations,
I think-
which includes engineering essentially. We've got communications, which we've got nobody on because communications was blown, so we can forget that. We've got medical, which we've just done.
Was
And then we've got
operations
tactical.
what Sean Nova just rolled?
Yep,
Yeah,
Nova
Nova,
just rolled,
yeah.
so nobody from operations has died. So we're just talking injuries,
Okay.
not even any injuries.
Hmm.
So that leaves
Right.
well, communications is fried, so we already know, but we've got nobody actively on that. So what we
Okay.
want next is Helm or Con department, which I believe Edwards was in charge of. So we may as well have Alex roll a
I mean, I was
challenge dice.
temporary, but I'm not part of the department. Technically, I'd be
Yeah,
under
but you've been
operations.
running
You-
it
you've been-
for the,
you were running
for
it,
the,
yeah.
for the event.
So
You
all
killed
I'm
them
looking
when
for
you
is
had-
a dice. All I'm looking for is
In
a
the
dice
5
roll.
in the 5 minutes that Edwards
I'm
had the con, he
kidding.
killed someone.
He's the only one in the department, that's why he's worried.
None. No, we're good. No casualties. Excellent. So we got a casualty in medical. We got no casualties in operations. We got no casualties in Helm. Like I said, communications is pretty much out. That leaves what? Science
Engineering
and
and science.
Security, engineering, science.
security. Sorry, yeah.
On our roll,
I'll do
I'll roll
security.
for engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said engineering's under operations.
Was it? Oh, in which case,
Yeah, engineering was operations.
whatever
so
the
you're
one
fine.
I'm rolling under.
We definitely had an injury, or we had a fatality on who rolled for the Navis there?
Sorry, that was me. That's
That was
security.
you.
Well,
So
I
security
guess
had a
we'll-
fatality. Oh dear.
And was that science or that one last one left, or
No,
have we already rolled
security.
science?
We haven't rolled science.
No, Davis rolled science then.
Davis rolled science.
All right, we've got an injury in science. We know that. Mano's in sick bay.
Yeah, so it turns out that Mono's injury was a lot more serious than first let on.
Clark can't die. Clark is out of the shuttle. Wait a minute. Clark actually spaced himself.
So, yeah, it's up to you guys. The one killed from the medical team can either be just a generic person or can actually be one of the named medical characters.
Well, as we said, we did have 2 determination left in players.
Yes, so there's 2 fatalities, so you could downplay those to just serious injuries.
I'd say for security for the command, for the captain, that makes sense. But I'd say, as this is Gareth's show, technically, does he want to have the drama of a fatality, or does he want an injury?
I'm happy. I'm happy for if someone wants to spend the determination, take that as an injury.
Yeah,
obviously that I think it depends on the person who spends the determination.
Oh, well, the only people who've got it is the captain and Edwards.
Yeah.
So if we're good with just basically both of you using your final points of determination to change those from killed to serious injury. Oh, do we make it Natik? Poor Natik? Defending his babies? Gets injured?
Nope. I have spent my determination.
Nope, okay. Who does... who do you want to be seriously injured then?
Actually, Natik would put... did we... Bravo? We haven't seen him for a while on this one, have we?
No, we haven't seen Security Chief Bravo.
Well, Natik does actually work, yeah.
He does the work around there. Bravo just takes the glory. Okay. So again, not dead, serious injury, so he's going to be held up in rehabilitation for a bit, but thankfully, because of the size of the Navis's medical deck, you have got those kind of facilities available. Same goes for whomever of security got seriously injured. So you've gotten out of this a lot easier than the other ships did, which makes sense because they were present for the majority of the combat with the Dominion. The Navis turned up to save the day, essentially, and in no small way have you. You have rescued a lot of people who otherwise might have been drifting before help eventually arrived. So the Navis is made stable enough that you can start limping home, and a buoy, of course, was jettisoned to give Starfleet an indication that yes, there are several wrecked ships here, so eventually someone does turn up to start hauling away the damaged ships. But more importantly, as the Navis crew are giving their final report to the small fleet of ships who have arrived to try and tow away the surviving ships, or the existing ships, to see if they can be repaired, maybe, or salvaged if they can't. You go over the Samson's sensor logs, and after a bit of processing, now that Unit Hello assists with the integration of the new computer, the new main computer that you've just installed, Unit Hello assists with cleaning up of some of the sensor data, and sure enough, it seems that there was indeed a launch of a smaller ship from the Dominion, the Jem'Hadar battleship, and it seemed to jump to warp just as the battleship's core detonated. But thanks to the proximity of the Samson, you were able to get a very detailed scan. It was a warp-capable shuttle, essentially, with very minimal defensive measures. It was mostly built for speed. But Claude did manage to get off a quick scan of the life forms inside, and inside of that shuttle that escaped were 2 life forms, confirmed as 1 Vorta, 1 Changeling. So, you'll have to make whatever assumptions you want to make as a result of all of that. But the Navis have successfully saved an awful lot of folks, and therefore you will get the proper recognition for that. But the Navis, of course, is going to need some TLC time at the nearest shipyard in order to get its damage repaired. The good news is that because you did replace most of your heavily damaged systems with parts from other vessels, the amount of downtime the Navis is going to have is going to be negligible compared to others. So, well done with that. And so you're left with pretty much the aftermath. Lieutenant Commander Walker disembarks the first opportunity he gets because he wants to ensure that he goes with his few surviving crew from the Thorn? It is the Thorn. I'm not misremembering that, am I? No, it is the Thorn. But before he does, Commander Vibers and Captain Andrews, on behalf of the people of the crew of the USS Thorn, thank you. Thank you for coming for us. Thank you for taking the time to rescue us. All of us. I don't know how to repay you.
You'd have done the same for us, Commander.
Were I able to. Unfortunately, my ship was stricken. Your ship, he looks around. As much as she's in bad shape at the moment, this is an amazing ship. I love being on the Thorn because the Excelsiors are predominantly science ships, but this... You know, I might actually put in a recommendation to the Utopia Planitia shipyards to maybe produce more ships like this. It seems this fellow, this old beauty, can not only hold together, but packs a punch and has more than a fair share of interesting elements to it. I think we need more ships like this, potentially. I look forward to the day when we see more of her. In the meantime, if there's any way I can assist you in the future, I don't know what it could possibly be, but, well, I owe you one, and I do mean that in all sincerity. If there's any way that myself or the rest of the crew of the Thorn can ever help you guys out, don't hesitate to call on us. We'll be there as fast as we're able. Thank you. Want to beam off. And so, yes. Unless there's anything anybody wants to do particularly to denote what they're doing, whilst your ship is hobbling back towards shipyard.
I think Andrews is going to lock herself in her ready room, and there's going to be a lot of choice words heard from the bridge crew as she's relaying the situation to the Admiralty Board.
Okay. Choice words? Care to elaborate?
A lot of profanities, shall we say, that effectively we were the reconnaissance fleet was ambushed. There was no prior warning of this being able to happen. What did we do as the Federation to make a gap that prominent in our defences to allow a strike team to enter through unchallenged? Things like that.
Good point. Okay. In that regard... Where's my notes? Excuse me a second, I'm actually finding the bit relevant to this.
If it finds out this is just a sting, just to see what they know, someone's going to lose their nut. It's like...
Go on.
That's just pretty much it. They, like, how do we tell if there's a mole? We spread a hole, there's a hole, and see if they take advantage.
Okay.
I mean, that would be very wasteful, but I can imagine Andrews if it was something that dumb.
Well, speaking of Andrews, she's the one with actual links to intelligence. And it's leaning on those contacts, I suppose we could say, that Andrews is able to, yes, also send very choice words out. How did we let this happen? It turns out, which you get sometime later, a report that intelligence comes back with, that apparently the Dominion were making some kind of overtures to the planet Manu 3, which is in the middle of Federation-held Actium sector. Technically, the Manu inhabitants are not part of the Federation, so the Dominion were apparently, potentially, according to what they were intelligence were able to learn later from the people of Manu 3, were making overtures with the look to establish a base of operations in their system, so that they would have a little outpost pretty much in Federation territory. As such, according to what intelligence learned later from the folks in Manu 3, the delegation that was brought from the Dominion included a founder. And apparently, whilst negotiations were going on, that was when the first couple of Federation Starfleet ships arrived, at which point the Vorta, in a panic, evacuated the founder. And that was when their fleet did battle with the Starfleet ships that turned up. It's assumed by Starfleet intelligence that because there was a founder present, the Dominion were more aggressive as a result, and that's why they sacrificed themselves so readily. They had a founder on board the battleship, and so they needed to cripple all the other Starfleet ships as their own battleship was being itself damaged. But again, big, wasteful use of life. And of course, how did we not see this coming? Well, yeah, somebody needs to answer for that, potentially. So there's more than likely going to be an investigation. So if Andrews is putting a vocal backing behind this.
Oh god, yeah. Andrews is quite happy to take the repercussions for our actions of questioning the Admiralty at this point, because this is the second time that the Navis has had to basically bail out certain parts of the Federation.
Yeah.
Maybe if things had gone differently, we could have lost the Navis.
Yeah. We could have openly given the Dominion a trans-warp ship.
Yes, indeed.
How do they get past our own security encryptions to put virus on? I think that's one of the more pressing matters, because that means they've got our ships cracked. And would you say ours is a bit more advanced kind of and protections in those ways, given what it contains and knowing Vibers, or?
Well, yeah, because the Vibers protocol.
Ours is slightly non-standard because we have a paranoid first officer and transporter chief.
It's going to be more paranoid after this one, I imagine.
I think we're adding a few more layers to it, and we might be trying to segment the core a little bit.
Well, we'll
see how that goes.
We now have a sentient AI computer core, you know.
So. For those next 3 days, he locks him. Vibers locked himself in the room, going over the information that we got from inside of their computer systems from that little that was that listing post moment. Just to all right, how do they do it? Just not chipboard. Those little conspiracy boards, just string everywhere.
Well, yeah. Something we might have to get into more of a talk on next time. But for the moment, that is at least insofar as streams go. This is the end of our current episode, which means we'll more than likely be taking our usual inter-episode break.
Next week.
So that means that we might be coming back for more adventures on the Navis on the 6th of May. Good grief, where's the year going? As such, for those who are watching the stream at the moment, thank you very much to everyone who joined. We hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube later on and you did enjoy it, then please consider giving us a like, because it helps not only us but everybody else who promotes anything and everything to do with Star Trek and actual plays. And in the end, we are here merely to appease our Lord and Master, the algorithm. Say it with me, folks. All hail the
algorithm.
Thank you very much for watching, folks, and treat each other with respect and kindness as we ask you to do, like the Vulcans do, which is live long and prosper. There wasn't much in the way of Vulcan action here today, so basically the lesson here is help out your friends, because you never know when you might need help in return. But also engage in infinite diversity and infinite combinations, especially with the backwards way that a lot of governments seem to be going at the moment. Treat each other with respect and kindness and look out for each other, because we all deserve it, and we will see you next time on the USS Navis. In the meantime, hailing frequencies are now closed.